Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Winter's definitely setting in here. We've had a lot of rain for the last 2 weeks. Oh man, I was kind of hoping we might get it. We've had some really alright weather through September, but the end of September and then now into October it's gotten really wet. So we're really trying to get into winter mode here. The pasture's getting really wet. Let's go for a walk around and see what's happening. I've just been figuring out what we're doing here with our laying hens are way out there. See if I can zoom these in. The laying hens out here, and to be honest, we're probably going to go down here, come up this tree lane here, and then my plan is to dock it onto the back of this polytunnel. It'll take us about 10 days I think to get up here, and by then we need to get off the pasture. My plan here, the reason why I can do this is because I haven't grazed this, so there's quite a good stand of grass in here, so that'll prevent the pasture from getting hammered by the layers, because we're at the point now where it's so wet, the layers are going to have a negative effect on the pasture. This is still our flood here. I've changed them over. I used to use netting with these guys, but I've got them trained now to the just 3 strands of wire. What that does is that makes it incredibly fast for putting up the fence. I'll show you my setup on the quad in a minute, how I do that. But with these guys, the lambs are going to get processed. There's 4 lambs in here. They're going to go into the freezer probably next week. The cows, these 2 young cows here, are going to the butcher in 4 days. Then the red cow and the calf, they're going, I'm not going to overwinter them. It doesn't make a whole pile of sense for me to overwinter cattle here on this farm. This ground isn't suited to it. I could take them down to my dad's farm. He's got more hill ground, which is protected, but for what I'm doing, I'm not producing beef per se. I'm not a beef producer. It's really for their ecological benefit, and we'll take those 2 animals for beef. But makes more sense for me to get cows in the springtime, younger stock like these guys here, and fatten them up all summer and then process them. The sheep I need to bring them off to my dad's farm, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the bully into the goats. Probably I like to aim around the 17th of October, which will give me kids on the 17th of March, which will be roughly around the time I want. In fact, I heard the stags calling last night, and I try to time my breeding with when the wild deer breed here, so anytime soon. My dad's got a ram, so I'm going to bring, there's 4 ewes in here, I'm going to bring them to the ram. I don't like the idea of putting the ram and the billy in together. I haven't really looked into it, but I don't think it's the smartest idea, and rather than running 2 flocks, I'll just run the ewes down to my dad. They can stay down there for 3 weeks with the ram, and then they can come back here. It's going to be easy for me. I'm just going to be overwintering the 4 sheep, and I think I've got like 9 goats there. And what I'll do is I'll set up the polytunnel, space in the polytunnel for them so they can come in if it's wet, and then we'll just strategically graze all around the farm when we can. And that's the little shelters, ideal this time of year for big heavy showers. They all pack in there, and I try to strategically park it so that we're getting benefit, because that's where the most hoof print will be. And if we take a look here, so this is where the flood was this morning. This is what I really like about the Dexters. So these cows are Dexters. They're a native Irish breed, and you can see here, this is a footprint. Their foot has actually evolved to be much wider than a lot of other cattle, to spread out the area. And like, this ground is pretty wet. You know, you can see there's, you know, there's standing water everywhere here, but these cows haven't cut it up, which makes them just the perfect breed for this context. I'm really happy with them, and I'll definitely go for Dexters again. They're a little bit mad, but as long as they got plenty of grass and they get used to you, everything's good. And now it's just starting to rain again, so I'm going to go inside. This is This is inside the tunnel. We'll probably put the layers. This is our Billy, Gilbert. I have to tie him here because he'll just jump straight out over the gate here and go down to the other goats. So he's got a rope that basically lets him right up to the gate. This girl here, she had a sore foot and it took me a long time to get it healed up. That's why she's in here now, but it's all patched up and I'm just keeping her in here because she keeps him company. And I sold off all her kids. This one I couldn't sell because she was very poorly and I think she had worms. And what I'm doing, I'm just giving them a little bit of we're getting a little bit of grain in here, and normally don't give me goats grain, but it just keeps them content. They're only going to be in here for another 2 days, and I just want to get a bit more condition on her and get her up. She's not, well, give her a little bit extra TLC during the winter, and then I'll sell her on. I don't like to keep genetics. Like, I'll get rid of this goat here too. You know, she was lame. We have the goats get lame here with the wet climate. It's just going to happen. So I'm selecting goats that don't get lame. It's not that if they're lame for a day, oh, you're gone. But this goat she's repeatedly been lame. So we'll get her pregnant. We'll kid her next spring, and then we'll sell her with a kid because that's when she's worth the most. Same with that kid there. Just can't thrive in this climate. So we'll get her through the winter and get her built up, and then we'll sell her on to someone else that wants to feed them grain, basically, because I'm not going to do that. So I've really been looking into what I want to do for next year, because it comes to the time of year where I'm planning that out, and I really want to slow down. I've been doing a lot for the last few years, and pretty much everything's paid off for on the farm, and I've been paid back all the money I've invested. So it's time for me to slow down. What I'm thinking next year, at the minute, I need to make about 25 to 30,000 euros of a gross salary. So that's my plan. But I want to do that for the minimum amount of time. And so the kind of goal I'm looking at setting myself is to make a salary of 25 to 30,000 euros working 10 hours a week next year. It's going to be tight. I think I'll get close to it. I could definitely do it in 15 hours a week, but I want to get it nailed down to 10 hours a week. So I'm really picking enterprises that have got a high per hour return rate, and that have pretty much low input, because one of my biggest issues with the farm here is I'm tied to the farm. Very difficult to get away. And so I'm redesigning my enterprises to be very low time input, so that they're managing themselves. And I've been able to do that because I've got years of experience now on how not to do the enterprises. So I've ironed out a lot of the kinks and have the system set up incredibly well that the animals basically manage themselves. And so I'm gravitating towards that, and I'll hopefully show you that in future videos and what we're doing and what enterprises that we're gravitating towards. One of the biggest things that I'm keeping an eye on now is the grain market, because I'm importing grains. I don't want to be too heavily reliant on grain coming into the farm, so that plays on my mind as well. So I'm trying to set up a very resilient business. One of the things I'm maybe thinking of not pushing the goat enterprise next year so much, because of that factor. I just want some time off the farm. You know, I need a little break. And problem, if I go milking goats, again, I'm committed to the farm every day. Or else, you know, I could go in partnership with other people, could employ people, but all that involves scaling up. And for me, when you scale anything up, it's just you're scaling up the stress more than anything. And I'm just not interested in doing that at this point in my life. I really like how things are. I want to keep it small, and I really want to make it efficient, time efficient. So my target, I'm sitting down running the numbers. I want to do 10 hours a week maximum and come home with a gross salary of 30,000, at least 25,000 if not 30,000. So I'm just moving the pieces in and out to get there. I still want to be diverse, so there's safety there, but the key is being incredibly efficient, and really analysing time and motion, and really gravitating towards those enterprises that really give you a high return for your time invested. The reason why I wanted to move away from the nets for the herbivores was it works perfect on small land base with small animal numbers, but if you want to scale it up, if you want to go to bigger land base, then the nets become impractical. And that's why these reels here, these are Galler reels. They can hold up to, I think it's 500 or 600 meters of polywire on there, so you can cover ground fast. And I want to develop, I don't know if I really don't need to prioritize it now, because moving our herbivores isn't going to be for much longer. but I want to make basically a bracket. I've got to make a steel bracket that mounts in the quad here that'll hold the 3 reels one on top of the other right here by this wheel. And then that way then the wire's running out past me here. I'll sit on the quad, and on the back here I'll have my posts and I'll just hook them on, and so therefore without getting off the quad I will just lay out my paddocks. So I've been working on that. I really like it. I do need to make this mechanism. At the minute I just hang these on the back of the quad and drive, but then I got to get off and walk back and put on the post. That's inefficient. But my plan is when I get a chance I'm going to weld up a frame that holds these exactly at the right height out here, and so I'm sitting on the quad, the wires are going past me, and then I just grab a post from behind me, stick it in the ground with my hand. I don't get off the quad, knock the wires into it and drive on. And Jessie wants me to play with her, but that for me is going to really speed up my moves of the herbivores, because next year I don't want too complicated herbivores next year, because we really don't make much money off them, so I don't want it to drag down my per hour time. So if I was clever I would just do a bunch of sheep, buy in a bunch of lambs. They're the easiest to manage, but I'll see. I love the idea of having goats, cows and sheep all in one herd. They really are great at mowing. One of the other reasons why I want to slow down is one of my goals starting out was to homestead or produce as much food for ourselves as possible. And I grew up in a time where we bought like all our food from mainly frozen food from the shop. So my generation, we didn't really learn how to do any homesteading. So all I really know is what I do in the farm. So I've still loads to learn about homesteading, preserving. There's a whole world of stuff out there I need to learn. And so I want to slow down and make more time for doing that. So yeah, I think next year we'll be really focusing on learning knowledge on homesteading and getting my head around all that, because I really didn't have time to prioritize it here. We had to really focus on what was economical. So that was our layers or turkeys or broilers, and we really learned all the ins and outs of that. So there's a whole other world of stuff there that I want to learn, which isn't necessarily about it being economical, but about being self-sufficient. So I'm thinking of gravitating towards that, and just having the farm there, running the farm as streamlined as possible, and it gives me more time to do other stuff.